Hello everyone, my name is Amir and today I am excited to talk about my journey as an intern at Vector Institute, and I will mostly focus on the forecasting workshop that we had during this time. So first, a little bit of introduction about me. As I said, my name is Amir and I'm an AI education intern at Vector Institute. I started here from September, and during these 4 months, I've been working on different projects. I'm also a master's student at Lakehead University. I am currently taking computer science with a specialization in artificial intelligence. During my 4 months at Victor, I have been lucky to work with a wonderful team, the professional development team at Victor, which is led by Sedef. And I was also working alongside Vairi, Flora, Michael, and Sana. So first, I would like to introduce you to what programs the Vector Professional Development Team offers. So we have three kind of programs that we offer. The first one is the technical programs. The next one is the non-technical programs. And the other one is the special programs. My work was mostly focused on the special programs. When I first started here, I worked on the Bias in AI workshop. And then later on, I was working on the Black and Indigenous program where I designed the capstone project for the machine learning for Black and Indigenous course. And I also helped the students to achieve their goals and work on their capstone project during this course. And the next type of programs that we offer is the fast lane. So in case you are not familiar with fast lane companies are small and medium-sized companies that Vector Institute supports. And during the time that I was here, we held 3 different workshops for the Fastlane companies. One of them was the Excel to AI, which is an introduction to machine learning and Python for people without much technical background. So they're just Excel users who are trying to learn Python and machine learning. We also had 2 advanced level workshops, the dataset shift workshop and the forecasting workshop. So I would like to go to a little bit more detail about the forecasting workshop. So this is an advanced level workshop, a 3-day workshop that is focused on forecasting methods. And the participants will learn most of the state-of-the-art forecasting methods and learn how to benchmark these models. And they also work on a capstone project based on their company's use case. So we expect the participants for this workshop to have at least know about the machine learning fundamentals and have some proficiency with Python along with TensorFlow or PyTorch. And during the 3 days of this workshop, on the day 1, we focus on introduction to forecasting, what is forecasting, how to prepare data for forecasting, and what are the evaluation metrics used in the forecasting domain. And then later on, we talked about univariate forecasting on the same day. On the second day, we mostly focused on multivariate forecasting and different methods that are used for multivariate forecasting. And the third day was about spatiotemporal forecasting. And the trigger for this workshop was the boot camp that is held by AI engineering team. So for the participants of the boot camp, we held this workshop to make them better equipped with the knowledge that they need to succeed in the workshop, in the boot camp for the AI engineering team. My job and my contributions to this workshop was firstly, I was working with the instructor of this course to design the curriculum for this, and we worked on that based on the boot camp, we defined the material that we need to cover. And I was also responsible for the design of the assignments for this forecasting workshop. The assignments were based on Jupyter notebooks, interactive questions where the participants had to fill in some blanks in the code and answer some kind of questions within the text. So for the first day of the assignments, the first assignment, what we worked on was the data preparation methods and evaluation methods for forecasting. And we also let the participants to implement different univariate forecasting methods, including ARIMA, SARIMA, exponential smoothing, and profit. For the second assignment after the second day, we worked on multivariate forecasting where the participants got a chance to implement LSTM models and deep AR models. And finally, for the capstone, we asked the participants to implement what they have learned on different data sets. We provided them with some data sets, and they were allowed to choose based on their company's use case to implement 2 prediction models for 2 forecasting models. In terms of the participants, we had 36 participants coming from both enterprise sponsors and Fastlane. We had 16 different companies, and among these, we had big names such as CIBC, Bell, TD Bank, as well as some smaller companies and startups such as Space and Promise Robotics. And looking at the learning outcomes of this workshop, before we start the workshop, we asked the participants on how confident they feel in different areas of forecasting. So we asked in a specific what they feel about how confident they feel about preparing data for time series analysis, and same question for forecasting model selection and evaluating model performance. And after the workshop, for those who have successfully finished the workshop, we asked the same question again. And as you can see here, we had substantial improvement in all of these areas for the participants. So from 19% to 32% improvement in the learning outcomes of the participants. And most people felt much better after taking the course. They were more confident in terms of using the data sets, using forecasting models, and evaluating their models' performance. We also received very good feedback after the workshop. Most people asked if we are providing other workshops as part of the professional development programs, and they said that they would recommend this course to their friends and colleagues if we hold it one more time. So overall, the feedback was really positive for this workshop. And looking at the lessons learned during this workshop, there were some things that participants really enjoyed. For example, the participants really enjoyed the classical methods because, in my opinion, they are really easy to understand, and at the same time, they are really good at the predictive performance. So everyone really enjoyed working with the classical methods. And also another thing that the learners really liked was the idea of learning from beginner to advanced. So we talked about beginner models such as ARIMA, and as well as some advanced models such as MetNet. And this was really, the participants really liked this. And another thing that the participants was really happy about was the mixture of assignments, lectures, examples, and the capstone project, which with different kind of material that is provided in each aspect, they work really well together, and it helped them really understand the material. And they also really liked the assignments because they got a chance to implement what they learned in theory in the lectures during the assignments. There was also some room for improvement in some cases. So for example, what the learners wanted to see was that more discussion on deep learning models and how to choose different models, and what are the use cases for each model, when to use which model, and when they work better. The next thing was that they asked for more coding examples and tutorials on the spatiotemporal models. And I think this is because spatiotemporal models by design are a little bit hard to understand. So having more examples and more codings for this kind of work, I think for the next series of this workshop would be really helpful. And another thing that we can work on for the next workshop is optional advanced assignments for the participants with stronger background. So because we have participants from different areas with different backgrounds, for most people, the assignments were the right amount because they are also very busy professionals and they don't have the time to put a lot of time into doing the assignments. But some people wanted to have more advanced assignments. So what we can do for next time is that provide some optional assignments for people who are really interested or have a really strong background. And lastly, I would like to talk a little bit about my experience at Vector. During this time that I worked in Vector Institute, I had the chance to gain a lot of technical knowledge while working on different workshops. It was a refresher of mind for the basic, as well as I had to work on some advanced new methods that I learned during the workshops while I was preparing the workshop material. The next thing was the teamwork. Uh, Not only I had to work with the professional development team, but I was also responsible for being in contact with the TAs and instructors and other team members, as well as the participants, to make sure that everything is going smoothly. So it was a great experience in terms of working in teams. Next, the professional network that I was able to make in Vector Institute was also a really great help for me, especially the Slack channels and the Slack connections. And last but not least, the mentorship program was also really helpful for me. So I had the chance to learn a lot from the mentor that was assigned to me. And I really enjoyed that. Finally, I would like to finish my talk with a quote from Steve Jobs. If you're working on something that you really care about, you don't have to be pushed. The vision pulls you. Thank you very much for listening to my talk, and I'm happy to answer any questions. In case you want to ask any questions later on or you would like to connect with me, I have left my contact information on the slide.
Hi, hopefully you can hear me. Yeah, no, so I wasn't aware that we actually did this workshop ahead of the AI engineering bootcamp, and I think it's really great, especially to prepare for more complicated topics. I was curious about some of the learning outcomes that you were sharing. How were you capturing that? Was it just self-reported, or were we evaluating sort of their performance on some of those assignments?
Sorry. Yeah. So what we did was that at first, before we start the workshop, we asked how confident the participants feel. So they reported on their own. We had a start survey and an exit survey, which was held like one day before the workshop and then after submitting the final capstone project. And both of them, like people just said how confident they feel before and after the workshop. So it was self-reported.